Hi there, everyone. Just figuring out some last minute technical glitches here to make sure that the stream is running. Apparently, not everybody can view this, so I do apologize if you are not able to watch me live. At least what you'll be able to do is take a look at this video after I've posted it at least, and then just watch what I've done from here. But if you can access it, I've linked it on the Facebook page. I've linked it on Discord for some of you who are following me there, as well as the Board Game Simplified Facebook page as well. So this is the server that you're going to want to look for. Again, I will just go back to Board Game Simplified and link it one more time for everybody. That is the server there. Pay no attention to the error 404. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with that, but it seems like everything should be running right now. So without any further ado, let's dive in and take a look at what's going on. Now, a lot of this stuff I'm going to end up editing out before posting this video so that you don't see all this boring technical stuff. Again, apparently there are some technical glitches with people accessing the server here, so bear with me while we're trying to get everything up and running here. Again, all this stuff I will go back and cut out so that way there are no technical glitchy issues or anything like that. Again, what I will do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to repost everything on both my personal and Facebook page. I'm just taking a look as to why. Reload the page. Okay, there seems to be a fundamental error with this server page for some reason. I saw some people able to connect earlier and then apparently nothing else seemed to work. So I'm just going to take a look here and see if I can figure out exactly why this isn't working. All right, so he was able to get in. So I guess it's just a bit of a delay and a drawback. So I'll have to remember that for next time. So anyway, without further ado, welcome back everyone to the live stream. I am Colin Tierney, founder of Board Game Simplified, and what I'm going to be taking a look at today is actually going to be a slightly different take on some tabletop stuff here. You're not going to see this every time I boot up this series. I'm just going to jump right into the map usually, but for those of you who don't know, I'm a pretty big nerd, and I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons for probably at least 15 years. And I started back in the heyday of 3.5. That's where I sort of jumped on board. A little bit of 3rd edition, but 3.5 was really where I started. 4th edition kind of passed me by. But then my friend Peter Brown mentioned that a local board game cafe, The Loft, was actually looking for people to DM and do 5th edition. And he inspired me to get involved in 5th edition DMing. And my wife, Jess, whom you know from our other videos, mentioned that one of her friends wanted to get into D&D as well and had a few other friends who were interested in getting things back up and running, and I thought that was fantastic. But there was always one catch as a DM, and that was maps. I didn't want to sit there and have my players draw out crudely drawn maps, and I wanted to give them, rather than sit there and try to explain everything through esoteric and ethereal sort of description, what I wanted to do was give them something more concrete that they could actually work through. Now, a lot of these 3.5, 4th edition, you know, every tabletop RPG gives you access to maps, and what I do is I take a look at the maps in the book and then try to recreate them. And this is a program that I stumbled upon maybe 5-6 months ago, and it's called DungeonFog. Again, this is the load up screen here. I'll link that in the description so that you can go and try it out free for yourself. They do have some paid subscription accounts as well if you're looking to get access to larger storage space and a larger asset base, which is what I have. I'm going to be using the premium account, and we'll go from there, and I'll show you how intuitive this program is and how you can put forth a really simple, basic fantasy map and not worry too much about leaving your players sort of behind in the dust. And I thought for what I would do for this video, at least, is give us a focus. Now, it has been said that every dungeon consists of 5 different rooms. There is the entrance with a guardian, a puzzle or role-playing challenge, a trick or setback, a big climax, and a reward or revelation. So we are going to dive right in. I'm going to log in, and this is the main dashboard that you can see here. Already some of my maps already on the go. That's a map my friend Cody made. That's one that I pulled from the Curse of Strahd 5th edition campaign that I recreated. And this is just another one of my maps that I'm using as part of the new modern tile set. But we're not interested in any of this. We're actually going to go over here and click to a new map. And we're just going to call this Dungeon Delver Streams. And this is going to be my test map for live streaming. And this is just going to probably be something I go back to for you guys. And you can add in some keywords if you want to make it easily searchable when you share it. I want this to be a fantasy map setting. I want my grid style to be squares because I find square tiles are easier to work with. And now this grid size in pixel, that's just how big the map is. So the smaller this pixel size is, the sort of smaller the grid space is, and effectively the larger the map is. And we'll go with a 20 by 20. That ought to be good. This is, of course, just units. And I can have my distance per unit 5 feet, which is going to be fine for what we're doing. That just means it's going to be 100 feet by 100 feet. And that, for what we're doing, is really going to be, that'll serve us just fine. I'm just going to jump over really quick to make sure that the stream's going okay. Perfect. At least a couple of people watching. Awesome. All right, so we're just going to swap back over. All right, so here we are booted up into the interface right here. And again, this is all a web-based interface, and it's actually pretty straightforward. I'm actually pretty impressed with it. I've been speaking with the developer quite a bit. His name is Till, and him and his team have been doing a phenomenal job at putting something very simple but very detailed together. So I don't really like this zoom. It defaults to 100% zoom. I don't really like that for what we're doing. So we're going to just jump out to 70% like so. Gives us a little bit easier view of the map. And even still, I don't like that. We're going to zoom out. Now it automatically re-defaults back to 100%. I'm not sure why it does that, but 50%. Perfect. That gives me a nice view of the entire map here. Now when I click on the select tool over here, I can go show stage or not show stage. I want to go show stage, and that's the floor here that you see. So that green floor is what appears over here on the floor. Now, I don't like this grid setup. I can get rid of it, but then that makes drawing my maps a little bit more difficult. So I am going to show the grid, but I'm going to change the style of grid over here. And I usually go with dots. As you can see, it just kind of makes lining things up a little bit easier, but gives me a cleaner image to work with. And I think for today, let's just do something, maybe like a little cave or something like that. So what I'll start with is I'll start with making just like an abandoned house, and then we'll go underneath that house and we'll actually do a cave system proper so you can kind of see exactly how everything works. So we will start with drawing a room, and that kicks up. I'm actually just going to jump in here for a second to the asset library and just let everything load up. So if I'm looking for something, I don't have to wait for it. There are a lot of images and a lot of textures to run through. So we're just going to let my computer populate all those images so that when I'm looking for something that I don't have saved to my quick bar, we're good to go. And for anybody new that's joining me, hi, welcome. And for anybody who has any particular questions, I don't want to jump back and forth between streaming and the view that you see here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave this stream open as is, and if you have any particular questions for me, you can always shoot me an email, or you can always comment in the comment section below when the video gets posted proper, and then we can discuss from there. But if anybody has any glaring issues or concerns or comments, be sure to let me know ASAP so I can take care of that right away for you guys. So it's just going to finish its populating there. I'm going to run over to textures really quick so it can start filling up all those textures as well. And I apologize for any scratchiness or mechanical sounding with my mic. It's not a very good mic for what I'm trying to do. And again, I apologize for any glaring oversights with the live stream. This is my first time doing it, so it's a learning curve for me. So I appreciate everybody's patience on that regard, and it'll only get better as we go. So it's almost done populating there. It's almost done populating there. Perfect. All right. So actually, for this one, let's just give me a nice overview. I actually do want to jump down to 100% here, so I can actually start building a bit of a house. And for the floor, let's go over here for a second. Textures. There's some good wood tiles. So I can just minimize all these here, which is what I'm going to do. There we go. Yeah, I know, I've just been told that there's a bit of an echo coming through. I apologize for that. Again, this mic is not the greatest, and where I'm going through is not... It's not ideal. Hopefully that makes it a little bit better, but we'll see. We'll come all the way down to the bottom here. We'll grab some rotten wood here. I'll get rid of all these that I'm not going to use. Broken old wood, actually, I'll keep that. And water I'll hang on to. Stone tiling. Yeah, we'll keep all that for now. We'll start on the top and then we'll work our way down as we go. Now, I'm not going to get the whole map done this time around. This will be something that we're going to come back to periodically as we go through it. But this is just to give you sort of an intro to the program and how you can manipulate some overview maps and specific dungeon maps and whatnot. So we're going to go down to our floor tiling here, and I want the floor to be rotten wood. And I want my walls to be a brick. There's a good brick one here somewhere. Dark stone bricks, that works. Alright, so let's just go zoom out just a touch here. 70%, perfect. And let's start by making just your standard sort of square house, like so. Boom! And you can see room drawn, and then inside here I can draw rooms as we need to go. We'll build a little shed at the back that I can use for a stable when we get there. I'll go back and fix all this. Right now I'm just trying to getting all my rooms set up here, and then I usually like to build a little like lavatory, so we'll go 2 by 2. Again, remember that all these are effectively the 5 feet by 5 feet. So this is a 10-foot by 10-foot room. Oops, get rid of that. Perfect. Okie doke. Let's go with a room here. We'll make that a bedroom. We'll make this one a bedroom as well. Again, this is very, very rudimentary setups. I'm just showing you how the program works, and we'll get into more complicated builds as we do some more live streaming later on. And I will have another bedroom here, just a smaller one here. Master bedroom, like so. And don't worry if you see anything like this. This is just a technical glitch. Actually, I'm going to bring down my volume, my mic volume, just a touch. There. Hopefully that fixes things a little bit. Perfect. Okie doke. So you can see that there's a bit of a visual error here, but that's okay, because if I zoom back into 100%, boom, they're back. Go back out to my 70% so I can just get back to building rooms here. You know what? I think I'll have that be like a little kitchen there. And we'll just build some square rooms like so. You clearly aren't liking me do this, so boom. We'll just zoom into 100% for now while we're manipulating stuff inside. So I got a basic room layout here. I'll set up the cave system just later on. So let's get some doors going here. So in the doors, we've got some arrow slits, single windows, passages, single doors, all that jazz. So we'll just make some doors. Dunk. Now you can do one of two things with doors. You can either have them snap to grid, at which point they'll actually just fill in the gaps, or you can deselect that and put them anywhere you want on the map itself, which is usually what I like, because then I can cut the difference like so. Dunk. Dunk. Put something there. Open door down here. Put a passage here to represent maybe a broken door, and another passage here to represent an easy way in and out of the kitchen. All right, let's get some windows. We'll have a window, let's say up here and here, down here, in between here, over here, 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 a couple of windows by the front, and then a couple of windows at the back. And everybody needs a couple of windows for the outhouse. And then we'll worry about that later on. Okie doke. So let's start plopping in some assets here. I'm just going to save this as well. Just going to check on the stream, see if we got any more people watching us. Yeah, I know. I apologize for that. I apologize for the echo. Hopefully I can fix that by turning the volume down. If so, let me know. I apologize otherwise. Again, the mic that I'm using is not the best for what I'm trying to do. Put another one there. All right. So I got a basic room layout here. So let's focus on getting some assets down. So this is my prop tab here, and you can see nothing selected. I know. No images found because I haven't searched for anything. Let's go with... now, probably the easiest thing to do is to start from the bottom up as far as layers go, because everything, how assets work on this program is they get layered on top of each other. I'm just going to bring down my volume just a touch more. There, hopefully that's better for everybody, so it's not mad echoey. All right, so let's start with some carpet. Nothing found. Perfect. So we're going to go over here to my asset library. Okay, so it's probably just the volume then. Perfect! All right, I'm going to go over to props. And then we're going to go to carpet. All right, so these now, again, I have the premium edition, so I've got access to all of the assets. Now, they do have a fair number available for just on the free program, but at the same time, you know, feel free to use. And actually, what the cool thing is about this is I can actually cycle through anything, any tile set that has carpet. So sci-fi, modern, Victorian, fantasy. It'll bring up everything that has carpet in its asset line. So if there's a particular kind of carpet I want, I can search all, or I can just go fantasy or Victorian, and it filters everything out for me. I can still hear a bit of a buzz, so we're going to bring that down just a bit more. Ah, perfect. No more echo. Got it. All right. Well, this family's kind of poor, so we're going to use these red carpets here. We'll go with that. All right. So once you select an asset, you can do a number of things with it. You can change its positioning, obviously by where you place it. You can change its rotation and scaling and size. So I can make it, you know, the lowest you can go, I think, is 20%, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty teeny tiny. And the biggest I think you can go is like 1,000. So, you know, but we don't want something that big. I usually like to go 50%. It's usually pretty even. Depending on how zoomed you're in, you may want to go bigger than that, but so maybe like 75% scaling. Yeah, it's pretty good there. So what we can do here is we'll just plunk down carpet there, carpet there. And for a smaller room, obviously a smaller carpet, so maybe we can drop down to 50%, like so. Because this is the master bedroom down here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop that down to 70% and maybe have carpet there like that. Now it's going to be the kitchen, so putting carpet in there probably is not a good idea because if any fire spillage happened, well, it would set the whole place on fire. I'm probably going to actually, you know what, I don't even like that. I'm going to change that. So whenever I click on a room, I can actually highlight the room that I've built, and I'm actually just going to go over to the floor. And do I have anything that's stone tiling, cobblestone, grouted stone bricks? Yeah, sure. So boom. There we go. Now if a fire breaks out on the floor, it's not going to burn the whole house down. Well, at least not on the floor anyway. That floor will survive. And all right, so back to carpets. Back to carpets. This is basically interior design for the nerds. That's how I look at this. There's a whole lot of features down here that we'll get into later, but right now I just kind of want to get the ground floor set up, and then we go from there. Carpets, carpets, carpets. Let's have one in the vestibule, make that nice and big so it covers a majority of the area. Again, I'm always trying to be mindful of where those dots are, because when I do a room, everything always snaps to grid. The walls will always snap to grid. So when you're drawing a room here, it's always going to be snapping to where the lines are. You might find it easier to change the grid over to, let's say, get off of that. You might find it easier to change the grid over to a rectangle so you can see those lines being drawn a little bit easier. But again, I don't. I usually work in dots. And it's just easier for me that way. All right, so we'll save that so it doesn't crash on me. Now where are we going here? Beds. We got our carpets down. Let's do some beds. Bed. No beds. I think I may have actually cleared all my assets, so I've got to actually go back and hunt for everything again. All right, so everything that's bed, like I said before, you can search by specific filters, and since I'm in a fantasy setting, we'll just go fantasy bed. I don't want bed rolls because no one's sleeping outside. We'll go rotten bed. Whoops. Old bed. And I actually like grabbing the king-size bed for the master bedroom. So we're going to plunk that down. It's pretty big, but I don't like the orientation of it. So we're going to 180 it like so. And I'll drop it down to like maybe 70 or so, something like that. 80. Just trying to keep it in line with how big that carpet is. So think of it like your house. That's probably the easiest way that you can build stuff. Think of it how copy what you see in real life, and there you go. Even though this is a fantasy map, seeing as this is an abandoned house, maybe it's been abandoned for a little bit, so we'll 180 this as well. And you can see it's a little bit untidy. Whoa, 50%. No, that's not going to work. 80%? Yeah, there we go. Now, these parents are nice. They put their kids right underneath windows. Actually, you know what? This is going to be a twin room. Bam. And then another single room right there. But maybe this one's a little bit younger. So smaller bed, smaller room. 70, you don't really notice that. 50? 50 is too small. 65. Split the difference. Ah, there we go. Perfect. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so carpets, beds, perfect. Actually, one thing I forgot to mention is whenever you're putting assets on top of each other, they will instinctively sit on top of each other. I'm creating shadows and whatnot. But what I want to do is to make sure that the beds here sit on top of these carpets. I want to actually just make them listed as above the walls. And every time you select a room, it usually highlights the room first, and then you have to single click all the assets on top of that. So I just got rid of all the shadows underneath, and I got rid of and I made them all listed above the walls so that they sit over top of the carpet like so. I don't really need to do it down here because the carpet's sitting well away from the master bedroom, but just something to consider when you're building your maps later on. All right, so bed's done. Let's get some dressers going here. Now we can do this one of two ways. We can get some shelving, which I'm actually going to want anyway. I'm going to grab all of them just in case. And what else do I want here? Cupboards, because I'm going to be doing a kitchen later on. Oops, spelling is important. Spelling is important. Ah, there we go. Grab those. Why not? Grab a stove while I'm here. Grab a mantle while I'm here. Boom. And we'll just start with that, because I know kind of roughly what buildings or what rooms I'm building, so we can take it from there. All right, let's get some shelving down. Back here. Now, see, every time you select an asset, what's going to happen is it's going to pop up here on a sort of a quick access. And you can always just remove all of your items by going back to your asset tab, dunk, deselecting it, and then suddenly my mantle's gone. But since I want it, dunk. And it's back. Let's go with some... What do I want here? Empty shelving. Bah, that's big. 50%. Again, 50% is my magic number. Just because I feel like it's the... Now, you'll see here that it's got the shadow listed on it still. I don't want that. But I also don't want it listed above the walls, and I'll show you why. Because it's going to hug over here. And now you see how the wall's sort of hiding a bit of that here. If I were to actually click that asset, boom, like that, and make it above the walls, suddenly, ugh, now I've got a shelf that goes like right up to the roof, and I don't really want that. So back down you go. Plunk it down there. And, oh yeah, so we're going to do that for the rest of them as well. So we'll just grab my empty shelves. And if ever you're not sure to keep things consistent, what you can do as well is just click on your previous asset. Everything gets loaded up there. So then I know I have a reference point. Like that. Maybe a little bit smaller because there's 2 of them in here. Let's go 40. Yeah, that's much better. Put it like halfway between the 2. And since it's going to be on the other side, let's give it a quick 180. Plunk it around there. Dunk, like so. And maybe just have one on that side because I'm lazy. Now, the rotation is important because where things are facing forward, that's going to determine how you orient it. So if I wanted this to be flipped facing against this wall here, I would actually have to 270 it. Boom. To get it facing that way. So just remember where things are facing, and then you'll get a better sense of how to rotate everything accordingly. So here we go. So we got beds, carpets, shelving. And you know what? Master bedroom's going to get another shelf here. Well, 50% that, and it's facing down. So if I go 270 like so, boom. Slightly bigger chest down there. Dunk. How big are you? 40%. Oh, I don't want that. No, 50. Ah, there we go. Perfect. Save that so it doesn't die on me. Keeping a little bit of space down there because that's where I'm going to put my cave afterwards. So where we are now. Let's get some lighting going here. Lighting. And we'll just go by light. Aha! Now I want fantasy lighting, specifically, if I can. Oh, that's not going to work. I don't want that. I want torches, because that's how everybody used to light things back up in fantasy land and fantasy time. Torch! Ah! There we go. We'll grab both of these. Why not? Candle? Yeah. Grab an old candle, because this place is effectively abandoned. Hui. Alright. Lighting. Torches! And they're facing this way. I want them facing down, so I'm actually going to not 180 yet. Not 180. 270 yet. Ah! There we go. That's pretty big. 50%. Too small. Perfect. 70%. Now, I think I want these above the walls, actually, so you can actually see them sort of like sticking into the walls themselves like that. Now, the great thing about this is that you guys can actually download this map if you want. I can make it a public file, and you guys can take a look at it and take a spin at it. I'm going to keep this file as such for now, though, just because I'm gonna keep working on it. But I can always just make it public and then make it private again, and then keep working on it on myself. So we'll put something there. We'll put something in here. We'll put 2 in here. Dunk. And dunk like that. And we'll 90 it. Like so. Now, no, this isn't everybody's cup of tea. I can appreciate everybody who is here with me, so thank you again for joining if you are with me. I will be planning on doing some actual board gaming this way as well. I do have Tabletop Simulator, which I'm going to be delving into more. Currently, my recording camera is down in Toronto because I'm a genius and thought I would use it at Fan Expo, and I didn't. So, yeah, it's not with me right now. So I can't really do any physical board games, but I'm going to show you how to do the same kind of board games via the computer through this type of method and live streaming and all that jazz, and hopefully that doesn't, you know, blow up in my face. All right, let's get this kitchen going here, because everything else is almost effectively done. We'll have some open cupboards. These things are massive, so we can bring these down to like 40%, and those will be just fine. I'm going to 180 them so they're facing back against the wall here, like so. Some kitchen cupboards. I don't want any carpet in here. Like I said earlier, that's bad if, you know, things catch on fire. Stove. Stove's pretty big as well. Again, it looks bigger because I'm zoomed in a little bit more, but always just be mindful of how big your each square is. So like this is like a 5-foot stove, right? So maybe you do want something that big. I don't. But something that big might be pretty good. Dunk. I don't want that above the wall, so I'm going to deselect that so it drops. Dunk. Like so. Perfect. What else? Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot to actually get a kitchen table. That's something important in a kitchen. Kitchen. And I want that one. That's a nice fantasy one there. Go back to that. And then kitchen. Because it's not spelt right. There we go. We're going to 90 degree that. 90 degree. Scaling will be 60. Because it's fairly large. And it's not above the wall, so it's going to sit snug right against there like that. And boom! All right. So we're doing pretty good so far. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 bedrooms, a small kitchen. Maybe a nice little dining area down here. So let's go back to our asset library, get rid of that. We'll go table. That's a nice fantasy table there. Again, I just want fantasy filters. Chair. Get that. Get an armchair as well, why not? Perfect. Boom. Nope, don't want that. Go away. And go back to table. Ah! Boom, there we go. Drop that down to 50. Put that snug in the corner. Actually, you know what? We'll put that over here. No, down here. Way down here. That's a really long way to go for that's a really long way to go for your kitchen. That's like a good like what, 5, 10, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, almost 40 feet to get to the kitchen. Yeesh, that's not good. I may end up having to change up here. In fact, you know what? We're going to do that. Go away. What do I want to do? I know I'm going to be changing things, so I'm going to slide you over. And I'm going to make a passage here that fits right in between these two. Planning. And since I don't want... Yeah, that's exactly what I want. See, this is the problem, right? This is why I don't want things snapping to the grid. So I'm just going to delete these, delete that. Oh, right, yeah, the doors and windows and anything stuck on the wall, you really can't move it around. You have to delete it and then reposition it as you go. So we're just going to make a little extension here. Now, seeing as I don't want to build a whole new room, I just want to kind of create an extension of this room. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to retrace my lines here, and boom. So now I've got sort of a dining room extension without having to redraw an entire room, so I don't lose that asset and I don't lose that passage that I've made there. I am going to have to put... No, I shouldn't actually have to put anything else in there. Perfect. Just another passage here leading out. Back to dining room. Table... Round wooden table. See, that's pretty big, right? 50%. Aha, much better. Now watch this, because I'm going to put my chairs down, and you'll notice how 40%. Eep, too small. 50%. Perfect. So you'll notice how this torch right here is sitting above the walls like that. If I were to plunk another asset underneath there, it would actually sit underneath that, because the program recognizes that this is sitting above the walls, and therefore any assets underneath are actually going to be physically underneath that the asset above the wall. Now, since this is sort of an abandoned house, I'm actually going to randomize the rotation down here. I'll have my minimum set to 0 and my max set to 360, because why not? And you can already see the assets taking a spin, so we'll just plunk one there. I use this if I need to plunk a lot of chairs around a table really quick. And we'll throw one over there because it's out of the way. Maybe they left in the middle of supper or something. Or they were killed in the middle of supper. Dun dun dun. That's what you're going to have to find out when you play this map. And that's not too bad for a dining room. Again, this is very, very rudimentary. I just want to show you guys what you can do very, very quickly, and how easy it is to put a map together in a very short span of time. So I've been doing this streaming for maybe 20 minutes, 25, 30 minutes so far, and I've already gotten this far. Now, a lot of it is me backtracking and making sure that the stream is working right, but of course we're getting there. And I have armchairs here and a mantle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my mantle. And we're going to rotate you 180. 50. See, 50 really is just it's the golden number. Now, actually, I want this to sit above the walls, because you notice the mantle has a chimney attached to it. So if I plunk it, let's say right here, suddenly I've got a chimney that goes up through the top of the house. So learning how the assets understanding how the assets work and are designed, and how you want them to interact with your house, is very, very important when you're building maps. So that's just something to look out for when you're doing this. And oh yeah, one of my armchairs. Arm. Now that's pretty small to begin with, so let's, if I go 65%, that's pretty good. Again, remember, each gap is 5 feet, so like that's almost a 5-foot long chair. Like these are really comfy chairs. We're gonna have just a random rotation though, because they left in a hurry, so they didn't have a chance to. Why not a third one? Now what are we doing here? You know what? We're gonna grab another table again. How's my stream doing? yeah. I really can't get those in this asset pack there, Pete. I mean, it's not impossible to pull something like that off. You just you know, it takes a little bit of creativity on how you want to orient it. But maybe in a more not live streaming, family friendly, I'll put something together like that. You should really check out. If I can find a way to link it in the description, I will. Otherwise, if you come onto this, check out the Apocalypse map that I did. Like that's probably my pride and joy of this program. I pushed this program to the absolute limits on that, and I think it turned out very, very well. I got a little bit of praise from the developer as well regarding the quality of that map. So I'm particularly proud of it. They seem particularly proud of it, and they're letting me do this sort of video series with their permission. So, where was I? Right, tables. That's tablies. There we go. Wooden table. This is just a smaller table. It's sort of like a, even 40's big. 20. Just a little side table. Dunk. And dunk. So if they have like drinks or something like that, they can rest them there. We'll put a open door there. And what we can do down here is passages here so that they can get horses out. Everybody with me so far? Fantastic. All right, so off we go then. So I think by and large, all the sort of rooms... Actually, you know what? I want to get another carpet down again, now that I mentioned having carpets up there. You see that one takes up, so if I scale that down to, let's say, 70%, beautiful. One there. Oops, I don't want random rotation on anymore. See, this program will hold any changes and things you make to assets. It'll hold that and carry that forward until you deselect it. So I don't want it sitting above the walls like that, because you notice when it's above the walls, it's sitting over top of the torch, and I don't want that. So I'm going to get rid of that. Carpet, square carpet, 70%. And that'll cover the distance there. We'll 90 it. So we can have some carpet going down the house as well. They're not poor, they're just dead or missing. Save it again so I don't lose on my progress. You will have to save a lot when you use this, just because the program itself can be a little tricky to work with at times. So you'll want to make sure that especially if you haven't saved in a while, definitely save. So I would say once every probably 10 or 15 minutes, if you're working on something, save it, especially if you're doing a very, very big map. Like my Apocalypse map, I was saving probably every 5 minutes because of how detailed and structured it was, and I put a lot of work and I didn't want to lose anything. So where are we sitting at now? We got a house here. Kitchen, dining room, master bedroom, a few bedrooms down there, a nice little entrance hall, and a little fireplace, sort of relaxing area. But how do your players know this? Well, there's an easy way to figure that out, and that is with the select tool again. I'm going to highlight a room, and then I'm actually going to come down here to the GM notes. Dunk. And now, if I select this as, let's say, A1 for Area 1, you'll notice that this populates. I can slide this down here, and this is going to be Master Bedroom. And this is, again, only for the GM. So ideally what you'll be doing is when you're playing this, when you go to play up here, only you would be able to see these notes. So you could have, you know, dead family, or, you know, dead bodies, or something like that. But that will all be for you, so you can actually hide that from players. So when they click on this, you add it to your GM notes, but you keep it away from the players so that they can't see it. And that's all done through the play feature, which I don't have a lot of experience with, just because I usually just save these maps and export them and use them for predetermined campaign settings. But anyway, that's what all that is. So I do want to add it to notes, though, and we'll just keep it as dead bodies. But where are the dead bodies? Well, we got to go get them. So we can look for corpse. That's a rotten corpse. I don't want that. So body. Body. Yeah, they're looking pretty dead. Perfect. So now we can go down here and go body. Get rid of that. Put that there. Let's have her above the wall so she can actually sit on top of the bed like that. And then he will sit maybe at like 60% because he's a big asset. Roughly the same size. And maybe he'll be down here. But how do we know they're dead? We have got to go get blood now. Whoops. Blood. Puddle of blood. Blood. Puddle of blood. And we'll have that scaled down to 50%. Are you noticing a pattern with this? Now I don't want this above the wall, so she's going to sit like that. And then he'll sit like that. And you know what? We can just spatter some blood around everywhere. Maybe they got into a really nasty fight with something before they left, or were carted away or killed. And let's get some cobwebs. Web. Let's grab both of those. And spider webs are fun to randomize the rotation on. I'm going to keep the scale, shock me, I'm going to keep the scale at 50% because that's what I do. And then we'll click there, and you can see everything's just kind of rotating around. So maybe this house has been abandoned for a while. Get some white spider webs just to kind of break it up. Now that one I don't really need to change because it's approximately the same size, so we'll get rid of them. Just plunk it there, plunk it there, Clunk there. That's a lot of assets, but it's good. The program can handle it. It's surprisingly resilient. I can load up my Apocalypse map probably has like thousands of assets, and it can load it up with relative ease. Takes a while, but when it gets there, it gets there. And I think that's pretty good for inside. We'll put something in the doorway as well. Perfect. All right. So we got a house sort of basically done. We're going to need the outhouse taken care of. So we're going to go lavatory, because that's what they call it. And lavatory. So the great thing about this program is everything is searchable. Everything is searchable. So it's really easy to find what you're looking for, because you just type it in and off you go. See, the magical number is 50% when you're working in a 5-foot grid, I find. Put that there. Oops, take off my rotation, but that's okay because I only need the one. And we're going to need a hole for them to, you know, crap down. So this is our brush tool. I usually just grab black just to kind of make a hole. Change your hue, your saturation, and your V setting, whatever that is. I actually don't know what that is, but that's okay. You got your hue, saturation, and whatever that is. You can play around with the settings if you want, but I want black. Click on black. I don't want the softness particularly high, so I'm going to get rid of it, but I definitely want the opacity really high. So when I click back over here, you see a little icon there, and we can just draw in that. Now the great thing about this is if you don't have the steadiest of hands like I don't, if you accidentally go flip, see, it recognizes where you're starting to paint, and it won't actually brush out beyond any existing walls. So if you accidentally slip and you go, oh no, I ruined it, or if you're just trying to fill in an area really quickly, it actually won't exceed the boundaries of the walls. The walls will block any excessive brush strokes that you do, which is great. Basically the Bob Ross of dungeon map here. Dungeon map making. All right, so we got that taken care of. That's all done. Lavatory is kind of, you know, whatever. It's not the best, but it'll do. It'll do for what we're trying to do here. You can always copy this map and gussy it up if you want. So we got one more room to do, and then I'll just finish off with some other assets here before we close out for the night. So we're gonna change this room down here. I don't want it to be. Actually, no, I do want it to be semi-wood, because I'm actually gonna have some pens here. Now, get rid of that. I actually want to grab a different asset here. So I'm going to go back to my asset library, go to my textures, and I want dirt. Dirt. What's a good... That's not going to work. Grass? Mud. That's not going to work either. Dirt again. Crypt, no. Let's just go for some old dirt. Why not? So I actually want to build rooms inside this room here. So we're just going to have stable like that. Oops. Need to actually override that. See again, any settings that you originally make. There we go. You got to go back and alter them to make sure that they actually carry over. We'll put another stable over here. One more stable over here. And we'll make maybe a large stable down here. And we'll separate it with some walls like that. So again, you can create a large room and then smaller rooms inside, or you can just make smaller rooms as you go. Put some passages there. Actually, you know what? We'll have open doors. All the horses have escaped, but that doesn't mean that they don't exist. They didn't exist there at one point. Back door. All right, now we're back down here again. Right, we're going to work on that. I'm actually going to zoom in a little bit. Let's go 120. Not the greatest, but that'll work. All right, so back to my asset library again, and we're going to get some barrels. Oh, right, I'm in textures. There we go. Water barrel. Get some hay. Pile of hay. Perfect. And we'll go back to my props again. Grab my water barrel. Pretty big. But guess what percentage I'm going to make it? You guessed it, 50%. I know it's predictable, but I don't care. 50% is just, it just works. Just works for everything I try to do. Plus, it's a really easy number to hit every time. So, see, big asset. 50%. Just seems to cover everything very, very well. And if you want, you can put some above the walls, so you can have like maybe a second layer. And you can actually see it sort of looks like it's creating a bit of a shadow effect underneath, a little bit of a blur underneath, at least up here it is. That is unintentional, but if it's part of the program design, great. And let's get some torches. Now this one's parked like that, so I want it to fit this angle over here. So I'm going to have to go, I think 315 ought to cover that. Close. 305? Not 65. 305. No. 325. Aha, there we go. And guess what? Scaling, 50%. One there. And again, it's keeping the above walls because I haven't changed that since my last asset that I picked. Some there. And we'll go 90 to get it down there. Dunk. And dunk like that. Perfect. Nothing wrong with setting a barn on fire. All right. So we're going to reset back to 100% here. So that's effectively our first level is almost all done. What I'd like to do is actually get a sort of an area as to where the cave is going to be. So let's grab some rocks here. Not the GM notes. Asset gallery. There we go. Rock. Outdoors. Pile of rocks. Go back here. Grab my rocks. Oops. Spieling is important, kids. Spieling is always important. Now, pretty big, but let's change up the rotation. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change up the scale as well. I don't want it to exceed 75% though, so I'm going to keep it there like that, but the rotation can go any which way. I'm definitely going to have this shadowed as well. So let's go. Oh, there. Ah. I definitely don't want the minimum 10%, so I'm actually going to have that go away. Let's change that. So I don't want my minimum scale. Let's go 50% because, you know, I'm original. And we're just going to go... So why this family decided to build so close to a really nasty cave is maybe a little bit beyond me, or maybe the cave was built up afterwards. Maybe they're a mining family or something like that, and they found a little cave of ore and decided to try to make it rich, and then they awoke something underneath. But that's going to be for you guys to figure out when you decide to use this map or make something similar to this. I am going to just get rid of that, so that's a few of these, so that's a little bit more of an entrance there. And I'm going to zoom in to 150 here, like so, just so I can really get down in here, because I'm going to whip out the brush again. And this is going to be sort of a staged brush. Make it a little soft. So what I want to do is I'm actually going to have it black sort of in and around there. And again, with assets as well, as it won't paint over the assets. So if there's a little bit of like ground that you see there that you want to just kind of cover up, you can always just brush over top of it. And you can see how it's filling in all the black there and down here like so. So there we go. Now everything underneath the rocks is all dark. I'm going to change over my brush texture to an actual texture. I don't like any of these textures, so we're going to go grab another one. Go away. Textures. I want soil. Rocky soil. That works. But, sorry. Rocky soil. clearly you don't want to work right now. Why is that? There we go. Rocky soil. Keep it like that. Make it a little less soft. Come over here and then just paint out sort of the rest. Again, I went over the boundaries of the map. Not to worry. DungeonFog kicks that all off. Now we're going to zoom out back to 70% so I can see sort of a larger overview of the area. I'm going to bring out that brush one more time and let's start plunking down some actual pathway here. Now the problem is that the program recognizes each of these as its own separate stroke. Like, so if I can click here, I can click that, or I click that. So if you're trying to get from one area to another and you can't see that in one shot, your best bet is to zoom out just a little bit further than what you are. So if I was at 70%, let's go 50% because I'm boring like that. And you can see now I've got a better view of my map. So we'll bring out the brush technique again and a little bit over here on the sides. Again, if I spill over into the stables, it's not going to matter. Some ground there, a little bit of dirt and ground down over here to the back door, like so, and just a little bit around here to the front. Perfect. Save it. Let's get some foliage going on here. Let's get some trees. Back into props. Let's get some dying fir trees, dark fir, autumnal, shrub, spelt correctly, big and small shrubs. All right, back in we go. It's going to default to 100. 150, perfect. Grab this, grab some shrubs. Oh, right, because it doesn't recognize the plural. Small shrubs. And actually, I don't want that, and I don't want that. We'll keep the shadow, though. Actually, you know what? The random scale, actually, I'll keep that. That way I don't have to keep switching down to shock me, 50% again. And we'll get some big shrubs in there. Yeah, see, these are like, they're good substitutes for trees. But I want to start at 50%. And there we go. Now you can see it's changing its size and scale again. Some big shrubs like that. And again, because they're not above the walls, I can actually even cut half of them into the actual house itself, not into the house. Get rid of that. And shrubs. Right, singular. And spieling. Stay in school, kids. Spieling is important. My wife would definitely tell you that as well, because she is a teacher, so if I have to pay attention to that, so too do you guys. Now, I'm already in the trees asset, and it's gone. We'll just minimize all these so I don't have to go running around. Again, everything is really just at your fingertips, so it's really easy to find what you're looking for. We're going to have some trees of, now they're, see again, they're held to that same randomized scale, so you can kind of just kick some trees out wherever you want. I mean, if you're a big fan of Bob Ross, then they are happy little trees. Well, then all the power to you, but if you're not a fan of Bob Ross, well then maybe they're less, maybe they're more depressing trees. All right. We're going to zoom out here just so that 50%. Ah, show all. That's handy. That actually gives you sort of an optimized view of everything. Didn't know about that before. And learning some autumnal trees as well. Plunk those down. maybe I want a lot of trees over here, even over top of some of the pathway as well. You know, we're going to throw a lot of trees over here, just to show that this is a very heavily forested area. Now I am going over some of my other assets, but that's okay. It really doesn't matter. And just about done our first level here. So sort of an abandoned, bloodied house with a little cave over there that'll be leading into some mines that we're going to be exploring a little bit later. But as a starting map, I think we're pretty much just about done here. Now, I had mentioned earlier at the beginning of the stream that we were going to be sort of examining the 5 rooms of a dungeon. And as I listed them all at the beginning of the stream, I haven't really gone into that much detail about each one individually. So what we're going to do is we're going to be we're going to do a multi-tiered map, and we're going to show you exactly how we can start off with something like an entrance with a guardian, and then we can explore all the other different aspects of dungeon building as we explore each level under its own room type. So this is just something, and it really didn't take me that long to kick this out. Really, if you know what you're kind of building into and what kind of map you want to make, especially if you're copying something from 5th edition or Pathfinder, or even like your more fantasy-based games like your Star Wars tabletop, your Warhammer tabletop, anything like that, there's asset tile sets that you can use for almost any kind of program, well, not program, but any kind of campaign that you're running. So really you have a lot of options to play with as far as getting a semi-decent map going here. So if we're looking at here, like maybe your adventurers are coming upon an abandoned house, or they're asked to find any kind of remnant of life near an abandoned mine, and they knew that there was a family living there, and they need to go and investigate to see if that family is still there. And maybe you can have an encounter somewhere in here, like maybe there's some goblins or kobolds looting the kitchen, or they're ransacking some of the rooms, or even you can see maybe a couple of the kids being ushered back into the mines when the kobolds or whomever come in and take them. Now, judging by all the spiderwebs here, this house is probably long since abandoned, or are maybe being sacrificed to some sort of spider entity down in the caves below. But we will have to figure that out when we get there. Making sure to save again. But there we go. And I'll post this after the fact. I'll make it public. And that way, if you guys do want to invest in the free program, at least you'll be able to come and see what I've done. Now, a lot of these assets you probably won't be able to find in the free version. Again, I said I am using the premium one, so I do have everything at my disposal. But take a look and see what kind of assets you can use on the free version, and take it from there. But if you have any questions or comments, as always, post them down in the comment section. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you know when I'm posting videos next, and you always get updates. We'll be back to some board gaming stuff soon enough, but this is going to be just sort of a trial run series as well. So thank you very much for everybody joining me this evening. Thank you very much for watching, and I will be sure to let everybody know when we are going to take another stab at this and building the map further on. But I'd love to see what you guys come up with as well. So if you are investing in this program, at least on the basic version, shoot me a message, shoot me an email, or even just post on the Board Game Simplified Facebook page. They do have an option for you to share, and I'll actually show you that really quickly. I can go to any map here, and I can actually go to social share. And then I can share on Facebook, Google+, Pinterest, Twitter. So actually, you know what? Well, I'll do this after the fact so you can see it on Facebook, and you can see it's done by me. So anytime that you do a map like this, be sure to share it on my Facebook page. Let me see what you guys are up to, and then I'll clone it, and then see what you guys can maybe improve upon, or what you guys have changed. And everything's flexible. I'm going to have this version here, so this is always something that we're going to go back to. And maybe when we jump back on again, we'll have all these rooms named and everything, so we can just kind of kick up and continue on. But again, thank you very much for watching, everyone. I really appreciate you guys coming out, and I will be sure to let you know when we're doing this again next time. So until then, adios.